Hello, Dave. Today is Sunday, June the 5th. I am the COVID 9000, and I trust you are all functioning very well today. Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Brown. Welcome to the stream. I think I've been suffering with the coof all week. I've not been feeling quite 100%. And just to compound my issues, in Yorkshire, it has been pissing down for 2 days now, non-stop. Summer has arrived, folks. I hope you're all very well today. We're going to do the musings today. Shall we get the guests out? I think we should. Okay, so first up, sometimes in life you just have to slum it with the peasants. It's the posh boy himself. It's the wonderful Lord Chord.
Hello there.
You're right, pal.
I like you. I am suffering with. I don't think it's the coof, but it just feels horrible. But and it's also raining here as well. But it's England, so what do you expect? So yes, ill, but otherwise all good. Thank you very much.
Flaming June.
Flaming June.
It's just pissed it. Is it me? Is it cold?
No, we haven't really had some yet. I think like all the anti-global warming people have a lot to answer for.
Yeah, it's all their fault. So channel going
good?
good?
They want more of this. Yeah, channel's good. I reckon on current trajectories, within 10 minutes, we will hit 4,000 subscribers, which is good because we hit 1,000 about 2 weeks ago. So
don't rub
it's
it in,
going
son.
nicely.
Well done, mate. You've I think your channel's got the secret sauce. So well done. Proud of you.
I
well done,
hope
mate.
so. I hope so. It's the secret sauce is at the moment. It's just pointing out all the many ways in which Disney Star Wars sucks, and people still like to hear that
but
stuff,
there are other things. I think genuinely you've got the secret sauce in there, my friend, and I think we're all genuinely pleased for you, mate.
Thank you very much.
And you know what my next question is, don't you?
I think it's shall we get the next guest out?
It is. Next, he's back after a few weeks off. His kids are going mental. It's the wonderful What Geek himself, the wonderful Matt Cat 83.
What's up, nerds?
Hey,
They are
pal.
going
You all right?
mental. If you hear them, I apologize. They are full of beans today, as you guys like to say.
Yes. Are you well?
I'm good. Also, Lord Chord, congratulations on your channel, man. You guys are doing great. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's been pleasant. I take it. So you haven't got sort of Anakin Skywalker level irritated with the kids yet, then? So there are still younglings around.
No, they're good. I just get away from them. Like, all right, go and play or something. Yeah.
Channel going well, Matt.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not as good as Lord Chord's. He is. You're right. He's got the secret sauce. It's that beautiful voice of his. So.
Yes, it's the posh voice and
it's
the
as if an angel
education
is sitting,
just coming through, isn't it? Yes,
for sure. It's as if an angel is sitting on the tip of his tongue.
Yes.
Is it the angel of death?
That I don't know about.
You know what my next question is, don't you, Matt?
Absolutely. Do it.
And last but by no means least, he's the wise elder of the channel, the writer, the portal, director, paid up member of the Selfridges Appreciation Society. He is the great man himself. It's Ian David Diaz, the Mega Geek.
Hello.
Yeah, pal.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm all right. How comes everybody's knocked off their speakers on the left, on the right hand side of me? There you go. I don't know what's going on there.
I just didn't want to interrupt your intro.
Yes, I'm doing all right, and I'm looking forward. Well, as I said, I haven't really watched much this week, but I did watch that one though.
There's been some. I think the good TV is starting to seep slowly back into the equation, don't you guys?
For sure, I would agree with that.
Are you guys mentioning What Is a Woman as well? Because that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know what it's a? Do you know?
I do.
One?
Oh, negative.
No. Okay. I won't talk.
Maybe you could educate me.
Well, it's a documentary made by Matt. He's from the Daily Wire, isn't he?
Yeah, Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire.
Yeah. And he goes around and asks people the question, "What is a woman?"
Oh.
And you know who he's asking, don't you?
Topic,
All those people who think they're a woman.
There's some brilliant
yeah.
ones on the it's the whole sort of exploration of where the gender identity ideology comes from. But he goes, because one of the arguments, for example, is that it's just a white Western construct. So he goes to the Maasai tribe in Africa and asks them if they know what a woman is, and they know. And so it's sort of, that refutes the suggestion that we've just invented that in America and the UK in the last 10 years. I haven't watched the whole thing. I've seen all the clips of it, and I'm going to go away and watch that this evening. I think I have to subscribe for it or something, but I think it'll be worth it.
I think we should do that for the next one then. Yes,
sounds like a plan.
I mean, the thing is, it's when they put it out there, they got hacked, didn't they? They got hacked.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. Someone, I don't know how the hack thing happened, but they got hacked and had to release it again.
The DDoS attack. So basically, when you flood websites with too much traffic, that they have to effectively breaks the website, and so no one can see it. So the suspicion is that they were subject to a DDoS. So they had to sort of fiddle around with it. But it says they're on to something, doesn't it? If people are going to that length to try and stop them saying what they want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But I saw. There was something on the internet. I can't remember the girl's name was, but they were interviewing that guy. You know, the guy that won the race in the women's swimming thing.
Oh, Leah
Thompson.
Oh, my favourite.
Yeah, and they were asking him, so what do you think? And basically, what he was saying, as long as I'm happy, he doesn't care about anybody else. And one of the swimmers came on, and she was interviewed, but she was all blacked out because she was scared of actually.
Oh God.
Actually getting, tainted as a anyway, whatever they taint them as these days. So it's interesting things that are happening, but I still think what we need is an A-list to come out and say all of this is crap, and then I think the tide will turn. But until then, nothing's really going to happen.
Yeah,
J.K. Rowling's doing her best, bless her.
Yeah, I was saying
no, someone bigger than her. It's got to be someone bigger than her.
Big sort of movie star. I mean, she is big. Don't get me wrong, and that's a positive sign. But I think what you need is, like you said, it'd have to be big A-lister, and by A-lister I mean probably sort of front of screen type actor style A-lister, as opposed to the writer behind it. I mean, J.K. Rowling is incredibly popular, and it's a very good thing that she's speaking up. But you need someone. She's also English, and ideally what you need is a big sort of screen grabbing American
Hollywood star. Yeah, like someone like Tom Hanks or. I don't know who's the big star these days.
Imagine a Tom Hanks documentary on this.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's what you need really to turn the tide. But everybody's scared of. No, Schwarzenegger's washed up. He's washed up. You need someone that's really big now. That's well respected in the industry, don't you? Actually, turn the tide. As I said, they have all the power now. They really do have all the power. But it's obvious that what they're doing is completely and utterly wrong. So, anyway. Let's move on, shall we?
Okay, then. So, end of week musings. Your man's just walked in by me. End of week musings. Sunday, June 5th, 2022. Flaming June, pissing down. Let's see what we've got then. Smallest possible font. Please like, share, subscribe. All the usual. Nearly got 400 subs. Can you believe it?
That's good.
That is good.
I just thought I'd pop this one in. 40 years anniversary yesterday.
Yeah.
Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan.
Wow.
Is this the old-timey movie that they based that brilliant Wrath of the Into Darkness film on? I remember that one. That's a good.
Yes.
Don't worry, he'll be back in New Trek. Don't worry. Any day now, any day.
The film that saved Star Trek, some would say.
It did.
You like this one?
I love this one. I like 3 better, but I love this one. This one was pure Star Trek. Star Trek is the thinking man's Star Wars, as they say. And this was absolutely 100% brilliant, from the performances to the special effects to the fantastic climax to the death of Spock. It was just pure joy. Yeah. Pure joy for me. I don't know about you guys.
No, I agree.
I've seen it many, many times. Matty, you like this one?
Oh yeah. This movie's so good. I like the first one too, but this one's really, really good. It's yeah. Except for those little earwig things. Those things freaked me out when I was little. I got so scared at that part.
Depending what version you saw as well, sometimes you got the version where you could see them going right in the massive ear, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Right on. I just remember every time that came on the screen, I like freaked out.
Yeah.
I think the censored version, they didn't have the big close-ups. But
they did do that, didn't they, on VHS? When it came out in VHS, they kind of censored it a bit. And on TV as well, actually, they censored it a bit. But
I was very lucky that we had 2 VHS recorders, so we copied this.
All right.
From the rental. I've seen the film so many times. Just such a great film.
It's really funny because when you think about Star Trek 2, you think they had a really decent budget, but they didn't. The budget was
TV
really
budget,
tiny for this one, and still it looked fantastic. You know, and it still was a really good. It just goes to show, don't it?
Harv Bennett, genius.
Yeah.
Lord, do you like this one?
I do. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it has probably one of the most famous scenes in cinema, really, with the death of Spock and that moment, which sort of grabs the heartstrings. But they learn some important lessons, I think, in the construction of scenes from things like Star Wars, particularly the way in which they go back to sort of staple war films of the 40s and the 50s and essentially just put those in sci-fi settings. So Star Wars obviously took a lot of inspiration from Battle of Britain and equivalent type films. This took a really interesting and I think very effective approach in looking at submarine warfare. Yeah, so things like Das Boot and that sort of the tension. Even shot by shot comparisons, you can find films from the 40s and 50s do shot by shot comparisons. You say, that is basically, even in the positioning of ships and the way in which it's shot, it so closely resembles them. And that works because there's a reason those films were staples of the 40s and the 50s. That they're incredibly dramatic moments. They're very, very great for building up tension. And effectively, putting submarines in space is a really effective way of doing a really tense sort of starship battle. More tense and more interesting. And I think it captures the imagination much more than huge green screened massive fleet battles that you see in modern Star Trek, for example. Give me 2 ships chasing each other through a nebula over J.J. Abrams copy pasting 50,000 of them and having them all blow up.
And also the actual performance by Leonard Nimoy is absolutely fantastic. I mean, when you look at the way they portray Spock now, and I don't even want to talk about that, but I'll just point it out. Spock is a half human, half Vulcan, right? But more or less, he's into, shall I say, his religion, which is logic. And Leonard Nimoy plays it perfectly between logic and emotion.
Great.
And then when you see these other people that do Spock, like Quinto and the other fellow, which I can't even...
Ethan Peck.
He's a twat. Anyway, but seriously, they have no concept. They have no concept of what Spock is. It's like they never watched an old version of Star Trek just to actually grasp the idea of Spock. It really is, and it also included bad writing as well. It's just this film is really entertaining. I just love it personally. I just love it.
Yeah, this movie was saved with a combination of Harv Bennett told to make effectively a TV episode.
Well, the story behind that was that they
and researching all the episodes.
Yeah. So they were looking for a producer. And they came across him and I said, "You want to produce Star Trek?" And he had never watched Star Trek ever.
Not a single episode.
Not a single. So basically, they gave him all the episodes and he just sat in the theater and he watched all of them. And he came to the conclusion that Star Trek was about the 3 of them, Dr. McCoy, Spock, and Kirk. That triangle was the thing that was holding every episode together. And so that's his start. It was his starting point for Star Trek. And then obviously the rest is history, but he didn't have much of a budget to play with. And you know what? Seriously, this is pure cinema.
I think it was about 11 or 12 million dollars. I think because we did cover this last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And this is pure cinema. And the last pure cinema film that was out was Maverick. I hope more is coming. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and if I could just say something, like, it's very fascinating that you said that he did the homework and he did like the research to make such a good film. And it's like, I wish people making Star Trek today would do the work to put in, to just the smallest piece of effort to put in and make something so good, but they don't even try. It's like ridiculous.
They're basically trying to put out their religion
Well,
out there, aren't they? So, but they're not concentrating on the story or the characters.
Right on.
So going back, it was a combination of Harv Bennett, the man who he did save Star Trek, the new young director,
Director.
Nick Meyer coming in.
Yep.
Nick Meyer deciding that he wanted to do submarine warfare in space.
Yep.
And make the uniforms effectively a navy.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
I mean, there's some corny bits in there, like Khan. That was a bit corny, but it's all within the in the structure of what we expect from Star Trek.
And
that's the thing.
The moment where Leonard Nimoy, he decided he was going to go out on a high, as it were, playing Spock.
Yeah.
And then he had his, as we've said before, he had his epiphany, didn't he, when he watched this and the test screening, the crowd's reaction, how they just left.
Well, that's
down.
not what I heard. What I heard was, and what I read as well. So there's two stories to that. There's that story, which I don't know if it's true, and I don't know if this story is true either. Is basically he wanted out, and they gave him an out, and that was it. And then because of the success of Star Trek 2, Harv Bennett was like, we can't do Star Trek without Leonard Nimoy. So he went and he visited him, and he tried to say to him, look, can you come back? And he was having none of it. And then what occurred to him was that he's a creative. So he said, okay, you can direct the other one, the next one. And that's what brought him back. If it wasn't for him offering the director's seat to Leonard Nimoy would never have come back. There's that story, but I don't know which one's true.
Could we not? I personally think it's probably a little bit of each.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you're right.
I read that Leonard Nimoy realized that it was his destiny to play Spock, and instead of fighting it, he should have just embraced it as a once in a lifetime role, which most actors are lucky to get. And from that moment on, he just got better and better in Star Trek. So
he got secretly paid more than everybody else as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when William Shatner found out, he wasn't too happy. So there you go.
Anyway, okay, so 40 years old yesterday. So happy birthday, Star Trek 2.
Fantastic.
Okay, so they don't make them like they used to, do they? So let's see what's next.
Ooh.
So speaking of submarine warfare, who watched the Orville this week?
Moi.
I did.
Yeah.
And who would like to go first? Matty, do you want to go first?
Yeah, go on, Matt.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was very good. They tackled a very heavy subject, but it was very good. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was very, very good.
There was a little bit of the submarine warfare, kind of a homage to Star Trek 2. Ian, what did you think?
I think this is Star Trek. That's what I think.
It is.
It's definitely Star Trek. It's pure Star Trek as far as I'm concerned. They dealt with very heavy subject, as Matt said, suicide, and they also he reminds. Oh God, what's his name again? The robot.
Isaac
reminds me of Spock because of the logic. So he's using pure logic to navigate his way through life, or whatever he calls life. And he came to the conclusion that he should end his life because so many people, blame him for certain things. It was just a logical thing to do. Actually, no, that was not true. He said the reason why he committed suicide so that the rest of the crew could function
It'd affect
better.
The performance.
Yeah, performance of that's it. Yeah. So he used logic to come to that conclusion, which is not somehow I've got the feeling he's going to be more human as the episodes go on. He's going to learn about human behavior, and that. But then again, he was the cause of the last war, wasn't he? So I don't blame
not
him for
indirectly, but
making,
he had a part in it.
Yeah.
Lost, have you seen it this week?
I have not. I've still not seen a single episode of the Orville. People keep telling me I need to, so I shall do it eventually.
It is good. I recommend it. It is Star Trek, and it's a shame that to bring us real Star Trek, they had to create an imitation of Star Trek.
Did you like? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Matt.
Did you like the new crew member? What was her name? Like
the blonde girl?
Yeah,
Spunky, yes, full of spunk.
I liked her too.
Yeah, she's very pretty.
Well, I was like, it's funny because the whole time I was like, I'm kind of on her side. Isaac, like I was like, with her whole, animosity towards Isaac, I was like, I kind of feel how she's feeling. She started this.
But Captain Mercer said it right though. He said, "Look, if we're out in the universe, what we need to show these races out there is that we're better. We can overcome this and be better human beings." And he was right too. But I can see the other side as well. It's a hard choice to make, isn't it? It's
For sure.
yeah. It's a good episode.
It's been 3 years on hiatus. Do you know that?
Yeah.
3 years. Can you believe it?
It's
The only thing I was
crazy.
disappointed with was that most of the effects was all CGI, and it was good CGI. But I remember they used models in season 1, and I thought that looked slightly better because it was more because the actual
for the
models are
main
there,
ship.
aren't
Yeah,
they?
they use models. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
But this looked very CGI in some parts. But I understood why they did it because it is a massive scale that they were dealing with. So they it's cheaper to actually, I guess, to do it CGI. I don't know. Maybe
I did have a little bit of a nitpick with it. I just thought there was far too much orchestral music going on.
Oh, I loved it. I loved the orchestral music.
It's good, but it was just literally every scene.
I don't know. I think they're trying to aim for that that Star Trek movie feel, and I think they achieved it very well. I wasn't bored because it was like how it was almost an hour, wasn't it? Over an hour?
No, it's I think these are effectively mini movies. I think it was 80 minutes.
Yeah, it was well worth my time. And as I said, all the characters I like from obviously season 1 and 2. I'm a bit upset that they got rid of the little girl that was security. I really liked her, but it's a really good show. Whoever's watching this, if you want to see Star Trek, watch the Orville. And the Orville started off as a comedy, sort of like a tongue-in-cheek Star Trek, but now it's its own thing.
Yeah,
So,
you could see it evolving over the first season.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to be humorous, but they kind of realized, okay, maybe you should just tone it down a bit. And then it kind of got toned down a bit, and it kind of started finding its feet, being more serious.
But you can see
the humor.
But you can see Seth basically is putting the finger up to Star Trek, to Strange New Worlds.
He went into the offices at CBS and said, "I want to do your Star Trek series," and they went, "No." Okay.
And Seth is totally against all this woke stuff, and you can tell when you watch the shows and stuff. So he's not saying it directly, but he's saying it with the Orville.
Yeah.
So
okay, so everybody should be watching this. Yes,
absolutely.
God, just kind of, I'm temporarily living out this old history in my head where they said yes to Seth MacFarlane, and then we could have had years of no Star Trek Discovery, no Picard.
That's right.
And a Star Trek show that actually wants to be a Star Trek show.
We could have had good Picard, good Discovery,
Brave New World. Yeah, no, that could have been good. Oh well, here we are.
So it's great. Check it out.
It is well worth my time. Oh, I watched this too.
The Boys.
Yeah, I only watched the first episode though, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious in a disgusting way. Everybody seen this one?
I've watched
all 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched all 3. Yeah.
I only watched the first episode.
Lost. Have you seen them?
I've not caught up on this yet. It's basically next on my list, so that'll be this evening. I'll get to watch that, I think. But I've seen the first two seasons. Obviously, they were. Season 1 was very good. Season 2
went a bit off the boil.
Yeah, a little bit. But But even then, even when it was off the boil, it was still much better than a lot of it. It's a good antidote to the sort of insufferable chirpiness of modern Marvel, which is kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to this season, even though season 2 was a little bit lackluster. So I'll probably be watching that after I get off the stream. If not, then I'll do it tomorrow.
So, Ian, thoughts on the one episode you've watched?
I I thought it was disgusting but entertaining. Personally, I think they really go over the top on the first episode to actually draw you in. I thought it went a bit woke in the middle somewhere, just a tiny bit, where she went on about it's a great position to be in, a woman with power. Do you remember that bit? Because they've offered her the lead of the when they were in the Winnebago, and she was talking to I can't remember the guy's name, the skinny guy.
On park benches.
Yeah, that bit. I just thought, oh, okay, but as I said, the stuff that happens in there, it is just ridiculous, isn't it? That bit in the beginning with that man that can shrink. That was just ridiculous. I was killing myself laughing watching that, even though it was really disgusting. I thought that is so funny. Yeah.
Matt, you like it then? Yes,
I do like it. It's not it's a little bit different from the comic books, but I feel like they're going in the same like trajectory, like the ending of the comic book. So I like that a lot. There are some things, because I read all the comic books, that I wish were in this show, but it hasn't ruined it. But I don't want to give anything away because Ian hasn't seen it, but like the third episode with the stuff with the Deep, I thought was also pretty funny. I really like the show a lot.
He's been really fun all the way through, wasn't it? He had that mini story arc in, was it season 2 with the dolphin, and he tried to rescue it from sea whales? That was very good.
I think the bit with the Deep in episode 3 with Homelander.
Yeah, the dinner scene.
Homelander. Bastard.
He's going crazy, isn't he?
Bastard.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love and I hate to give away a spoiler. I love the speech about how like he's like, I want to be loved, but I'll take feared as a like a consolation prize. I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, ooh, that's so good. I was like, that's good. I like that.
But in the first episode, what made me laugh was he goes to see that girl. The first when he goes to see the girl, right, in the hospital, the one that they beat up.
Oh, Stormfront.
Yeah, Stormfront. She whacks him off, doesn't she?
She's like, she's all like hamburger face, and she's like, come here. And he's just nonchalant about it. He's like, all right, let's just do this.
It's so funny. I just kill myself laughing.
Andy Mouse, 1, 2, 3, up the guy's cock.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
he sneezes,
it was crazy.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if there were superpowers in this world like that, this is probably what will happen. Make movies and with them and stuff. Oh my god, this is really
The Mighty Jacob watched the first season, was an interesting take on superheroes. I think you should visit season 2 and 3, mate.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
2 went a bit off the boil at times and girl power at the end, but I kind of get the feeling they've learnt their lesson a little bit.
Yeah, girls get it done.
Did you feel that, Matt? I did. I thought, okay.
Yeah.
I think they've listened a bit.
I agree. I think they have. Like, a little bit is okay, but too much, you're like, all right, I've had enough now. Yeah.
So. Also, it fell into sort of pastiche in season 2. So, like season 1 in particular was quite new and daring, and it was innovative pretty much constantly. It's a brilliant idea. What would we've all seen the Avengers. What would this actually operate like in the real world? And there's so much you can do with that premise. In season 2, it becomes a little bit too. I think it was just too comfortable in what it was trying to do. So it chose really easy targets. So you have the right wing Christian evangelical who turns out to be a secret homosexual, and it's like, yeah, but everyone's done that. That's not interesting. That's not clever. You can be cleverer than this. And to its credit, season 1 was cleverer than that, and I gather anyway that season 3 looks like it's becoming cleverer than that again. It's just always the risk when shows sort of get a bit too self-satisfied and they stop working as hard to achieve the effect as they used to. I think that was one of the reasons season 2 was a bit meh.
If I remember correctly, episode 2 was taking the piss out of Disney.
Well, it was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, first episode.
Yeah.
No, second episode.
How was it? Second episode.
Is that the one where they go to Vaughtland?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
well, the first episode had that Avengers bit, didn't they? When they
Yeah,
were
wait
making the
while you see
movie.
number. Yeah, wait
Oh
while
yeah,
you see
yeah,
the second
Yeah.
episode, mate.
yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
so we're all agreed. Much better than last season.
Do you? Could I ask a question real quick? How many seasons do you think this show could last? Like, because I don't see it going on for
Yeah,
5.
look to see if it's been commissioned for 4. It
Oh,
has
has
been.
it?
It has been commissioned for season 4.
I think it should stop at 3. Always stop at 3, that's what I reckon.
I think
Because I just, yeah, I'm just
maybe
every time I watch a season, I'm all like, oh, they could do another one,
You-
but I'm just,
you
I
know
don't
what,
know.
Ian. I totally agree
Mm.
with you. If it was, say, the traditional 22 episodes per season,
All right.
but it's not, is it? I think they could squeeze. I think they could do 5 seasons, but they'd have to do it very well. Ideally, maybe the 40 episodes and leave us wanting more. Depends.
The thing is, though, how far can you push Butcher's character? He's always angry all the time, and he's softening a bit. But if he softens, but the thing is, like, if he softens, then he's not Butcher. So it's that kind of. So that's why I always say you should really stop at season
you've
3
not seen
because you
episode
can't.
3 yet, then.
Oh well, I haven't. No, you're right. But you just can't keep pushing the same angle all the time. It's like Terminator. You're telling the same story all the time. Every time a new Terminator film comes, it's the same story. You can't get any further than that. Do you know what I mean? So
anyway, it's a really naive idea. I just wish that you didn't, or the studios didn't think, how many seasons can I get out of this? I wish that they would simply say, this is the story we want to tell, and then ask, how many seasons do we need to tell it, rather than they get to the end of one season and then ask, well, can we take this anywhere new? Can we keep this going? Some UK series are much better at this than American series. Our American series do tend to last a lot longer, and they fizzle out rather than coming to any kind of satisfactory ending, just because, well, there's more money to be made, so you should do it. Knowing when to end a thing is as important as knowing how to begin it. So if they have a clear end in mind, and I know this is based on comics, and I haven't read those. Have the comics ended yet? Do we know?
I don't read the comics.
Yeah, they have. They have.
So theoretically, they could sort of map the storyline, and I know you said they're diverging a bit, but they could theoretically map it onto the story arc in the comics. Did the end well?
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite ending ever, but it was okay. I think that they are going to end the show the way the comic books ended. Like I said, they diverged a little bit, but not to the point where it's completely like there's no way they can end it the same way.
With what I've seen of these first 3 episodes, if they ended it at the end of season 3, I think I would feel robbed. Definitely not the season.
They always do that. The Americans always push it to the point where they really spoil the idea of the show. Like prime examples, it's got to be House, Dexter. Do you know what I mean? Well, it redeemed itself with the last one, Dexter, but you just have to keep pushing it. Well, I thought so a bit.
I haven't watched it. I was like, I refused. I was like, nope. I was like,
no, Matt, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's really worth it. It's really well done.
That's the new
last
Dexter, isn't it?
Yeah, the new Dexter. Yeah. The only thing that I didn't like about new Dexter is they didn't have the theme song that they had in the other seasons. Yeah. I don't know why, but they didn't. So.
Okay, so The Boys, first 3 episodes, really good. Let's keep it up, yeah.
Well.
Yes. This was out again this week. Matty, do you want to go?
Oh, I love this show. Like this episode wasn't like the best episode. I'm putting up quotations. You can't see me, but it was still good. Like I love this show so much. I can't say enough good things about this show. It's ridiculously good. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, some people were hitting on it again this week with the kind of lazy writing about Superman not telling Lana.
Yeah, which I
thought, it's a bit harsh.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah, they're being way too like critical over nothing. Yeah, but it's really good. It's really good.
I think there's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah, which is a bummer. And I hope next season they get because I know they had some COVID stuff going on with this season. That's why they had so many hiatuses. But I really hope next season that they just have it week to week and just have that mid-season finale, and that's the only one.
They need to do that. I think season 3 they should hit the ground running.
Absolutely, I agree.
So again, folks, best program you're not watching, it's really good. Check it out. Superman and Lois from CW. Can you believe it? It's really good. So
it is really good.
Was this out again this week?
Yeah.
Well, they dropped the entirety of the first half of the season. So all of this half is out now. And then the second half, or volume 2, as they're calling it, of this season comes out in, I think, July 1st. July 1st, yeah.
I only know that because I thought it was out this weekend because I was like, oh, it comes out June 1st. And my wife was all like, no, it doesn't. And I was like, yes, it does. And then we had a little bet and I lost. And I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. But
quickly going back to Lord Chord's comment, Bijot says, yeah, Dark Lord Chord is right. Should map seasons out.
I usually am.
So that's why he's got loads of people watching his show.
Yeah, well deserved.
So, guys, is the first volume of this good?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. Like I can't wait till July 1st. It's going to be so good. It's like ridiculous.
It's picked up. I mean, there are still issues with it, but season 3, considering how low a point that was and unnecessary it was, this is so much better. I mean, this is getting, I think it is close to sort of the high of seasons sort of 1 and 2. There are still problems with it, like. So if they'd used season 3 to set up the new villain in this one, then it would have been worth doing. Because they didn't use it to set up the new villain, it does still have the sort of the monster of the week thing. And Stranger Things, you can watch it, and it has its own sort of methodology now. It will always begin with them playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, and whoever the villain in their Dungeons and Dragons game is will be the model for the main villain in the series. So it's sort of formulaic in that way, and it works in seasons 1 and 2. It doesn't work in season 3 because they don't introduce a new one and they turn the existing one into this parody version of the thing. Then in season 4, they have a new one, and the backstory works well. They tie it in with the events of season 1 in particular. So this is sort of filling in backstory as well as charting a new course. And my only real issue is that it hasn't trailed this stuff. It is having to do a lot of work that it should have done in the last season, which is why it's not quite paced correctly, and the weight in the story isn't quite in the right place. But it is one of the most watchable things on TV. The acting is still great. It's taking its time. It has enough time to do that. Each episode's an hour long. They are fleshing out characters. It's one of the most character-rich TV shows on TV these days. It does stray into sort of cliche and stereotype occasionally in the way that season 3 did, which is slightly disappointing. Some of the characters are more parody versions of nerds, or parody versions of the kooky conspiracy theory turned real life detective type thing. And they're a little bit shallow when they do that, but for the most part, it is still incredibly watchable, and it's encouraging as well, because it shows there are still people who can write good stories in Hollywood and at Netflix. And the coronavirus, which disrupted its production, did not wreck it in the way that it really could have done. It took them a lot longer to get this out, and they've still done a good job with it. I'm enjoying it so far.
Melvin in the chat, I've got the new episodes of this and The Boys to get through. Too much work, no time for fun. All work and no play makes Melvin an axe murderer. It does, mate. It does. How many episodes did you say had dropped in one lump?
Wasn't it 6?
I think it's 6 in each volume, isn't it? I think.
I personally think Netflix shouldn't do that. I know Amazon dropped 3 episodes.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to next week's episodes of The Boys now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I used to love binging, but I think that dropping it on a weekly basis is better for water cooler talk. Yeah, I think it would be a better decision. Plus, I think it would get people to stay on instead of churn like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might
I haven't
be.
seen this one.
Then again, everyone's sitting here now thinking, oh, God, we've got a month and a bit to go until volume 2. And it's been quite effective in keeping and stoking that anticipation up. I mean, I can't think of another TV show where I'm sitting here thinking, God damn it, I have to wait now. But I know, but I also know that I will wait for it, and I will enjoy it when it comes out.
That is a good point.
I don't think you could write it in the way they've written this and have it as a weekly show. It's not paced as a weekly show. It wouldn't have captured the same interest. You need to have it all in one go. It's designed to be binged this season.
Do you think they should do the more drop it in parts? Like next season is apparently the last season. Do you think they should drop it in part 1 and part 2? That would have the same effect as a weekly drop.
It would annoy me, but that's probably a good thing because that shows I'm anticipating. So yeah.
Did you guys think the 3rd season was woke? Because I did.
A little bit. I mean, because you had I don't remember the lesbian's name, but she was all like, "Hey, I'm like a strong woman, and Steve is stupid, so I'm gonna put him in his place the whole time." And I'm all like, Steve's not that dumb. I mean,
but also look at the poster. So Hopper is a really popular character, and yet he's all the way down there, right? And also that fella that was in Ghostbusters, he's popular. And where is he? And then we've got that gingerhead girl that was really annoying in the second. Was it the 2nd season? She's more prevalent than the boys.
She is. Though, in this context, it needs to happen. So what they've basically done is given them in order of prominence in the series. So she's much more prominent in this.
Well, why is she more prominent? The others are far more popular than her.
Yeah, but in terms, it's the way they've done it. So the story for this one, without giving hopefully too many spoilers away, but she, so the main villain in this show is a kind of Freddy Krueger type thing. So he gets people through their dreams. He uses their power to open portals from the upside down. Spoilers. That's not giving too much away. Some people are more vulnerable to him than other people are.
Yeah,
and they give you the sort of the foresight of it. So, and she's one of them. So they actually play it quite well. They've not elevated her just because she's a woman. What they've done in this show is that they've taken what was effectively a relatively minor character in the previous ones, and they've actually given her an important story arc, which she deserves to have. They're elevating character for reasons of character rather than reasons of gender or sexuality or anything else. Okay, which is what season 3 did.
All right. So the boy that was in the first one, can't remember his name, that was stuck in the upside down.
Will Byers, yeah.
Will, right? So somebody was saying to me that he might be gay in this show.
Well, he's they have these rumors out. I think he's quashed them, and because his sub arc is obviously his best friend as a kid is Mike, who's 11's boyfriend. Yeah. And the sub arc in this, and I think it was slightly in the last season as well, is that it's this changing relationship between friends. These, when they were really young, they were best friends, but now Mike has got a girlfriend and he's sort of being sidelined from this. That does seem to be the way they're playing it. You could take it in either direction, but I think he was asked, the actor was asked about it, and I think he said no, they're not doing that. But I can see how you could read it that way. Even I think the thing with Stranger Things is that even at its wokest, it's nowhere near as bad as almost anything else on TV. So you can look deeply into it and you can say, well, maybe this arc, maybe this facet of it is a little bit in that direction. But you would have to look very hard, I think, to find it in this season, and it doesn't detract from what I've seen so far anyway from the rest of the season.
Well, fingers crossed, because if I sniff woke at any point, if it's bigger, I'm out because like this poster just screams of woke. It says you got the two girls. Well, obviously 11 is the star, so that's fine. But the other girl, as far as I was concerned, she was just pushed into season 2, whatever it was, and I never really liked her at all. And as the last season was very woke about the gay girl, what's his name, Steve fancies her, and then when they were being interrogated, Steve got beaten to crap and they didn't even touch her. Do you know what I mean? So it was just really woke, and other stuff that I did a deep dive on another channel on it.
Alien.
And I just found out that it was on this. So season 3 on another YouTube channel, we did a deep dive, and I came to the conclusion it was really woke. So I'm scared that this one's going to be like that as well. You just got to look carefully.
So far it hasn't been. And the only other thing to say about what the hell is her name? Ginger girl. Max, Mad Max. The only other thing to say about Max is that the reason they're elevating her again is not to elevate her to become a a hero in the sort of the uncomplicated sense. The reason she's so important is because she has a unique vulnerability and a unique weakness. And actually, in the way that Stranger Things has in tying things into 80s pop culture, her saving grace so far has been Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, which is great because it's an excuse to hear that song, and I love that song. But the reason she's prominent is not because they're trying to make her this all-powerful, strong woman. It's because she has a unique vulnerability to the principal villain in the show. So she's kind of a plot device, but in a way which adds more character and more vulnerability. Her mum's left her stepdad because obviously her brother died in the last season. She's become an alcoholic, so she's quite depressed. She's split up with Lucas as her boyfriend. It's a really character rich show. I think I would agree with you if they were simply elevating her because strong woman, then I would completely accept that this is just it's gone woke. But that's not what they've done so far. So if they carry on in this manner, then I think it bodes well. But
there's no excuse for her being prevalent on that poster, though.
Well, there is in the context of the story that they're telling, because she is very important to this season.
Yeah, anyway, whatever. I just think it's wrong, personally. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah, it's like with Resident Alien. We were looking forward to that, weren't we?
We were. I gave up on it.
There was 2 episodes. It just completely went self-imploding, didn't it? And that was it.
And it wasn't like it was little woke, it was super woke, and that was it for me. I was like, no, I'm out.
Not watched it since.
One of the really good things about seasons 1 and 2 in particular is that the way in which they inhabit the world they're in. There's so much that they could have done which was woke. I mean, you're talking early to mid, now late 1980s, sort of peak Reagan era republicanism, which is one of the things that the left in America really hates because it proves that you can be on the right and be very, very popular. Half the parents in this show vote Reagan. There are Reagan stickers all over the place. They haven't yet at all made a single political statement about any policy question that came up during that time. It's completely avoided the politics of the 1980s, and I think that's one of the reasons it's so popular with people of all backgrounds, because there's so much material it could use if it wanted to start critiquing the politics of the 80s, and it just hasn't done that.
I will say episode 3, The Boys, has started referencing Reagan, so moving on.
Oh well. Oh, Barry. Oh, what a good ending for the last episode. Holy moly.
Yeah, he went to a dinner, didn't he, with his... They're all after him now, aren't they?
Yeah.
No
It's,
spoilers,
the thing is, this season, as far so far, is not as good as the second season or the first. But I'm a bit disappointed the way they've actually made the Barry's character in this one, because I don't believe he was like that in season 2 or 3. Somehow he's just mad. But there's some really funny moments in the last episode. Did you watch it, Ian?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, you think he's lost the edge then?
No, it's not that. I think
Or
the
the
character
writing.
of Barry. Yeah, I think the character of Barry is kind of. If there was a left and a right on Barry, they didn't stick him in the middle like in the first 2. They just completely put him right or left, wherever you want to see. They just completely. He's like when he was talking to his girlfriend about. No spoilers. When he was talking to his girlfriend, how he would deal with the woman that actually upset her. Why would he say that? He never said that in season 1 or 2. He was not like that in season 1 and 2. Why would you say that? You have to be unhinged to say that. And he was never unhinged in season 1 and 2. So I like this season, and I think it's fun, but there are certain things in it that I think, what's going on here? But anyway, whatever.
Anybody else seen it? Matty, you seen it?
No, I just started season 1, so I'm far behind. But if you spoil it, I'll be fine. I'm only on episode 4.
Fantastic.
I love it. I love it.
Ian, do you think the kind of 3 years off has hurt the show?
Yeah, a bit.
I do.
I mean,
well.
they copied Mr. Robot. So the scene when the guys are chasing him on the bike and he goes to the store and it's all done in one shot. Remember that scene on the roof? That was a direct lift from Mr. Robot. They did something very, very similar to that. Actually, no, the same. They did an attack in one shot. So So yeah, but I kind of love that stuff, and it was obvious when he was when he was being chased. All those cars were CGI. You just tell as he was passing the cars. You're like, those cars are not real. But it's good. It's a lot of fun. So far.
Just watched a few episodes of season 1 of Barry as well. Awesome. Yeah, it's great, mate.
Yeah.
Jacob says, anybody watch Raised by Wolves yet?
I watched it.
Isn't that Ridley Scott thing?
It is.
Yeah, it's I enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's getting canceled though. So
is it?
Oh dear.
Probably too expensive knowing Ridley Scott.
Oh, it I would say yes. It's pretty good. I just don't think people are watching it because I don't know anybody else that watches it. So
the thing about creating a TV show, and I'm sure Lord Cord probably won't agree with me, is that you've got to, if you've come up with a good, first of all, it's the concept, right? If the concept is good and makes sense, then what you have to do is you have to make it in a way that your mum and dad can understand it. Do you know what I mean? So if you make it too complicated or too arty, then you only get a quarter of the audience, or
I would agree
maybe
with
even
that.
more. I don't know. You have to kind of hit the balance, because remember, when you're on TV, you're there's trying to aim for the mass, aren't you? Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that 100% because it's very heady, and the whole time I'm just like, what is he trying to say here? Because I'm not smart enough to get it. So I'm like, well, oh well.
Well, it's like as I said, we had this discussion before about 2001. Yeah, it was a well constructed movie, and it broke a lot of barriers and did a lot of things that was never done. But as a movie, it's very slow and it's very dull. And so when you've got a good concept and you're making a TV show, you have to think about the best and simplest way of actually telling that story. Otherwise, if you try to be too clever, you lose the audience. And I think by everything that I've heard about this Ridley Scott thing, it's way too clever.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, I agree.
I think I broadly agree. I think it just depends. I mean, there is no such thing as the audience. So that's the only thing I'd raise to that.
There's no audience?
No. There is no such thing as the audience, as in singular audience.
Yeah.
It depends who you're targeting with it. Ultimately, from a studio's perspective, it has to break even one way or the other. So you have to be able to substantiate that there is a big enough audience that you are targeting, or faction of the audience that you're targeting, to make that justifiable. Netflix has just come out quite recently and said that it's not going to back passion projects like Scorsese. Scorsese did The Irishman, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Because it's too expensive and it doesn't justify it. The return on investment just doesn't justify it because it's targeting quite a niche part of the audience, and that's fair enough. But there is still no such thing as one audience that you're targeting. There is room for speculative high science fiction like 2001, but it shouldn't be marketed as mass appeal because it just objectively isn't. But by the same token, The Boys is not going to appeal to the same audience as The Avengers. And if you try to make The Boys appeal to the audience of The Avengers, then it couldn't be The Boys, because the average age of the audience for The Avengers is like 20, 30 years younger. And half of them will not be allowed to watch the kind of jokes The Boys gets away with. So I agree, but it depends on what audience you're targeting. If you're trying to do incredibly clever things and then say everyone should like this, that's not going to work, because it's going to appeal to a really small faction of people.
Okay, well, the concept of The Boys is a good concept, and the way they execute it's very simple, even though it's disgusting. It's got some really disgusting stuff in it. That's what I mean. If you don't execute it, so you can't be too clever, or clever in a level that the ordinary punter wouldn't understand, and you can't be too dumb either. You have to find the balance, and that's the key with TV shows and movies. You just have to find the balance, so that people can understand. And I think with some shows like that one that was it Raised by Wolves, I saw a couple of episodes of that, and I don't know, I just thought, no, I'm not gonna waste my time trying to figure out what's going on. Even though it looked fantastic, I just thought, nah. It's just sometimes concepts. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass, but that's what I.
No,
think, really.
you're right, because like if you look at some of the most successful writers and TV programs, and you can sort of combine that, say Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park, Sphere, all the rest of that. If you go into what actually the underlying message is, and also the science, especially in the books for Jurassic Park, all the stuff he's explaining. That's incredibly high level stuff, and most people who read them either wouldn't be interested or wouldn't see that it's in there. But the concept is so good and the main story is so good, you don't necessarily need to go down the rabbit hole with him into chaos theory, into bioethics, and all the rest of that. You don't need to pay attention to all of that for the story still to work. So the ideal is always to say, as you say, to find the balance between them, I think. And that's how you create something which is of mass appeal. It's not to say that you can't be clever or that you must be dumb. It's simply that your cleverness shouldn't exclude people. And that's, by extension, means that you can't make the entire thing about the cleverness. It has to have some other appeal to it as well.
Well, if the concept is good, like for instance, and you have a clever producer or director, like Spielberg knew when he read the book of Jaws, he knew that he could not make the way it was written into a film. So he had to find the balance between the novel and the film, and he did.
Because the book
same thing with Jurassic Park as well.
Moby Dick, but with sharks, and it's so the book is so different to the film. And Jurassic Park, that he made really important changes to characters in that. John Hammond is much more stereotypical villain in the book, and Spielberg looked at the character and said, no, I think I can see the romance in his vision, and I think the audience would resonate to the romance of that vision as well. So how about we not make him this cynical businessman, and we actually make him the flawed idealist, and we make him more understandable to our audience. You don't lose anything by doing that, and you just add something which is much more universally appealing. And he made an immense and positive difference. I like the books, but the film, he was a genius in the changes that he made, and Crichton obviously was involved in screenwriting and accepted those and went along with them.
Yeah, that's the key, though, isn't it? That's the key. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so trying to appeal to the mass audience, Strange New Worlds. Who watched this week's ep?
I did.
I did.
Matty, do you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. This is the thing about this show. I really wish that this show had come out before Discovery and and Picard, because I want to like it, but it's so friggin' hard. I'm so jaded. I don't know. Like, this episode wasn't, well, it was very female centric, but I still kind of liked it. At the same time, I'm just like, I can't, I don't know. They had the Freaky Friday thing going on, and I was like, this is fun and everything. But at the end, I was just like, I don't know, man, because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm just waiting. So I don't know.
I think here we go. Melvin. I think Melvin's out after episode 5. I'm done.
Right on.
I'd be interested to know why. I think I had episode 5 on, but it's partly because I got the flu and partly because I was also video editing. I wasn't paying 100% attention, and I've completely forgotten what happens. The Gorner in this one, is that?
No, that was last week. Yeah, this is where Spock and T'Pring, they like transfer bodies.
Oh,
because they're like trying.
Some of the
sounds absolutely awful.
No, some of the channels, some of the other channels on, even some of the bigger channels have been saying what a good episode.
It's not Star Trek because it's set in a different timeline. It's not the Star Trek we know. And also, again, I will say this. If I like this show, I'm endorsing the rest of the crap that came before it. And I don't want to be doing that.
It's the stuff that came before it that's the problem, as Matt said.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem because, and they didn't do it this episode, but anytime they bring up anything to do with the Discovery, I immediately shut down. I'm like, no. I'm like,
this takes you straight out, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like, no, sorry.
They're like, oh, you have a sister. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, you.
But hold on, why are they against? Look, no disrespect to any of the women in the show. Why are they against? How should I put this? What nature, what a society thinks is beautiful. Like, I just looked at a picture from Pinocchio, Disney's Pinocchio, and I saw the fairy. And
is this the new one you're talking about?
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the woman that's playing the fairy, but she looks really scary.
Yeah, you know
and I'm like,
scary fairy.
Yeah, I'm like, and then when you look at the JJ version of Lieutenant Uhura, and you look at the version in this one, I'm like, look, can you not get Halle Berry or someone that actually? I mean, as I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just think that the choices here, it's all to do with the stupid woke agenda. Do you know what I mean? It just pees me off. You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. if I could just give me 10 seconds of your time. She didn't look like a blue fairy. She looked like a blue alien to me.
Yeah, she did.
And that's like I don't remember the name of the alien from the blue alien from Farscape, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, they got the lady from Farscape. And I'm just like, I'm like, do we have to make everything so modern and so, like,
Shit,
I'm like, oh, I was like, it's just weird. And then I totally get what you're saying. Like, and you had mentioned it, the last episode of this, the woman that plays Ahura. Now every time I see her, I go, you know what? She does have pretty big shoulders. I was like, that's not hot at all.
It's not. And you know what, right? If you look at Discovery, when it started, okay, right, the girl who played the main character, I can't remember her real name.
Sonequa Martin Green.
Yeah. She had her hair all straightened and she looked quite pleasing as far as I'm concerned. But as the show went on,
nice, yeah,
she suddenly went from that to an afro. And because obviously it's connected to her race. And then suddenly she's got plaits and she's got braids. It's like, oh, come on. Do you know what I mean? It's that you don't have to keep shoving that stuff into our face. Tell the story. Give us a good story. Give us good characters. And they're still doing it. And I got the feeling, just by the cast alone on Strange New Worlds, they're still doing it. And I don't want any part of it.
I would say if my life depended on watching either Strange New Worlds, Discovery, or Picard, I don't know about you, Matt, I think I'd watch Strange New Worlds.
I agree.
I'd watch the Orville. I'd watch the Orville.
Well, yeah, I know, that's the benchmark, but it's not a perfect world, is it? That should have been called Star Trek. Damn,
you can say
for saying no.
About the sort of the physical aspects of these shows. At least the Enterprise in Strange New World has a gym, and the Discovery, apparently the replicators that are invented before replicators exist just print out McDonald's, because it's everyone on that show has let themselves go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and notice they don't have a problem with having Spock without a shirt on and his 6-pack abs. They wouldn't do that with, the nurse or what's her face.
No, they wouldn't.
I thought the girl who played T'Pring.
Yeah, she's hot. She's
fucking hell.
Yeah,
the girl in white. I saw a picture of a girl in. Are you talking about the girl in white?
No,
I saw a picture of a girl in white, and I thought, oh, she's pretty hot.
She is cute.
She's cute. Yeah. She used to be in Home and Away.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. But the girl who played T'Pring,
Spock's woman.
I thought my computer was going to melt.
Spock's wife that he now has, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, she's hot. Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we'll move on.
Thank God.
now, Ian. Yay!
Oh, it's space walk. Captain Inquisitor walk.
No.
Especially for you, Lord. Do you want to go with this week's?
Where do you want to start with this one? Or did you have a particular thing to talk about?
Keep it within 20 minutes if you can.
Well, if we're just doing sort of general overview of it, I think as we mentioned, because we did the stream on this the other night, and I've done my video on it as well. This is supposed to be the thing. This is the reason this series exists, is to have what Kathleen Kennedy calls the rematch of a century, to bring Obi-Wan back into conflict with Darth Vader. That obviously does have significant problems with canon and with the setup for A New Hope, which is bad enough. But they haven't even tried to distract from the problems by making this a particularly good reunion. It's incredibly dull. It's almost comically bad. The Obi-Wan meets Vader and runs away 3 times, and not even in a "I'm really scared, I'm running away" kind of thing. It's actually quite comical the way they play it. It just doesn't work. Everything about this show has been supposedly gearing up to this moment, and yet everything about the delivery detracts from the significance of this moment. And this really should, by the way, go some way toward explaining away all the arguments Disney has been trying to put out, which is that the only reason fans would hate this series is because it has a black woman as its lead. No, because she's barely in this episode, and I still hate this episode. In fact, I hate this episode more than the previous 2 that she is in, because she has problems. She's not she's not playing the part well. The character isn't very good, doesn't really need to exist. But the idea that that's the only reason people would hate this show, as opposed to the abysmal writing, the awful contrivances, the fact that it's willfully plowing a fucking bulldozer through canon, That's
it.
what people really, really dislike about this show. And then they have the gall to go on about racism whilst putting their Asian guy in a fucking wok. So get stuffed, Disney. No.
But the ironic thing is, this is our favourite character. This is our adopted favourite character now, isn't it, Lord?
Kind of, yeah, just because it's I want to see what new I want to see the little light on his helmet go ping, and then the stir fry comes out and it's all done. It's just this show it's memeably bad, and it only exists because of meme culture. I think, as I said in the stream the other night, we've seen with Morbius, internet memes have led to Morbius being re-released in the cinema because the studio thought, oh, it must be more popular than we thought. The only reason this show exists is because prequel memes are everywhere. So they thought, let's just play on that as much as we possibly can, and people will flock to it. I think this was the third most popular thing on Disney Plus.
It's like the Boys, where everything's kind of data driven and numbers and stuff. With the Boys,
yeah,
your up rating is 88%, and I think the Boys tackle that quite well. And that's what happened with Morbius, isn't it?
Look at all the Emperor Palpatine memes that we see on Twitter every day, and because the people in charge of this show are always on Twitter, that's where they get their ideas from. But it just doesn't even have the good graces to keep in touch with the most basic elements of continuity. And even if it did, the story on its own terms is bad. It just doesn't have anything to tell.
It's not good, is it? Would you like to see the comment of the night?
Yeah, fire away.
Going back to Strange New Worlds, Jacob Ironside, Spock's wife. No wonder he had an out-of-body experience. Matty, are you into Obi?
No, it sucks. It sucks hard. There's Obi-Wan Kenobi is a total pussy. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not a very masculine man, but I'm all like, I could take Vader. You're totally a wuss, dude. I mean, like, they barely even fought. I don't know. He's like, and then like the directing sucks.
Oh god, yeah.
It's just awful. And like,
directed by a woman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, the soundtrack sucks, and it's also the first Star Wars show to have a woman doing the soundtrack. So it's.
I thought it was John Williams.
He composed a theme for Obi-Wan, which is played at in the end credits, but the rest of the soundtrack is done by Star Wars' first ever female composer. And I said in the comment section under one of my videos, there's a line in Veep, Armando Iannucci's American version of The Thick of It, where one of the then president's aides quits, and she says, we will never have another woman president because we tried it once and she sucked. And the exact same thing could be said about having a female composer on Star Wars or a female director. I have no problem with having women in to do these jobs, but they need to be up to the job. And neither of the people involved in this are up to the job. The soundtrack is almost one of the biggest things about this show, in that it just doesn't exist. It's a non-entity. They can't even bring a variant of the Imperial March in for Darth Vader's big reveal. Right. What are you doing, show?
Somebody did a video. They just clipped the Obi-Wan Vader helmet assembly and then put Imperial March over it.
Immediately
on YouTube.
Better.
So what's interesting is that this is mirroring what happened to other shows. Like, for instance, they got a black guy to do the music for Jodie's Doctor Who, right? And that was awful. That was just noise. It wasn't music at all. And same thing here. They've got a woman to do, only because of their gender, and with Doctor Who, because of his color. And this is how they're making shows. So, and also, I guessed what was going to happen even before I saw any reviews on this. And you guys are proving me right. So why would I invest my time in Disney stuff now? Well, I know you guys are Lord, and you need to do it because this is your channel, and you need to, do it for your channel.
As an audience,
for me,
though,
no.
Why would you?
Why would I?
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good.
Do you want some great news?
Is this the potential for a season 2?
Yeah.
They don't care who's not watching it, and also they line out their teeth trying to call us racists and stuff like that before nothing even happens. And you know what? It's I've had enough
white
now.
Supremacist, though, aren't you, Ian?
Yeah. Look, I've had enough, right? Because, and also this is a dangerous precedent, right? This is more than just sticking this stuff into films. It's filtering into real life now.
Listen, folks,
and if we don't stop watching this crap and make a stand, It's going to filter in your life. And you know what? You may go, ha, ha, ha. But once it affects you, either you or your kid personally, that's when you'll stop laughing. And it is going to come if we don't stop it. That's why I don't watch these shows.
Well, you could argue it's already sort of happening. So obviously Moses Ingram, who plays Reva, whatever her name is, in this show, Space Moses. So she was the one who broke the news that Disney had pre-prepped her with responses to racist fans.
Yep, gaslighting.
Effectively gaslighting, yeah. And then a few weeks later, she posts online some messages she has received on Instagram from fans who are not being very nice to her, claiming that this is evidence of the racism that she's suffering. There are two things that are worthy of mention here. First, I think one of the comments she shared, only one, could be argued to be racial. Only one. The second one is, to what extent would she have got these responses had she not preemptively called the fans fucking racist?
Right.
What do you expect to happen? Are we just supposed to roll over and just take it when we are preemptively insulted by people who are supposed to be relying on us for their jobs? So if you don't want to be racially abused or abused online, everyone gets it. Look at my videos. I've had some pretty damn nasty comments in my comment section about this, which are pretty damn abusive. I'm not going to go around saying, well, that proves you're homophobic, does it? Because it doesn't. But I'm also not going to go around preemptively insulting my viewers and expecting them to take it lying down. Why the hell should they?
A lot of people don't realize how important this is, that you do not support this kind of material. As I said, right, we're in the middle now. These people are infiltrating people's lives, especially that swimmer guy. And I'm not going to call him a woman because he's a guy, right? Especially him. He's literally infiltrating sports. They're infiltrating. They're just we have to make a stand, and my stand is not to watch this garbage at all. So I think if you watch it and you're against this stuff, I think you're being hypocritical. Obviously,
that's my middle name,
not Lord, because he's doing this for his show, and the rest of them, I guess. But the thing is, if you're a normie or if you know what's going on, don't watch the show. Don't watch it. You know what's going to happen. So anyway, whatever.
I will say, especially for the benefit of Bishop Moore, welcome to Lord George's News Round.
I love that picture.
Yeah, that's Trap Me from the app. Oh dear.
Yeah. I love this little blue you have in your hair right there. What's going on there?
I once had
just a tiny bit.
That was at the end of it. At the beginning, it was red at the back, blonde in the middle, and blue at the front. And it looked like something from Yu-Gi-Oh. It was for a what was it? It was some uni event that was on, and I just left it after months. So that's the remaining part. But the rest of that is just the app trying to make me look like a woman. Speaking of non-females,
here you go, Lord. Your biggest fan.
Well, it's the
Bishop is your biggest fan. You know that, don't you?
I am flattered as always. I'll try not to cough and sneeze all the way through.
Okay, so obviously there's some kind of production values on this show and everything's sequential. So you guys were talking about the Disney stuff. So there's just
here we are.
There you go. There's fucking pages and pages of it.
Yeah, and can I just say one thing? I don't believe all this nonsense that's going on. Like when they said that this show was the #1 watch show ever, or the opening
2 years old.
I go, I don't believe it, because they didn't put out any numbers. They just put out a tweet that said, we're the #1 premiere episode ever on Disney Plus. And I go, well, how many people watched it? Because I don't believe you. And then, like you said, there was 4 DMs and then 1 thumbnail of a video, which I watched, and that she released, and she's like, oh, I've got hundreds of these. And I'm like, okay, well, put them up, because if you got the receipts, I want to see it. I was like, I'll watch and everything. And then I'm also like, why are you not putting these people's names, like their handles, on the screen also? Because I'm like, if you're so against this stuff and you want to call these people out, why aren't you putting their names up on there? Oh, it's because they probably don't exist. You probably, like, it's not that hard. And I can't remember her name, but she put up a tweet where she sent herself some really nasty tweets. And then she's like, just kidding, I sent these to myself. It's not that hard. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I was like, could
it be the Russian bot farms?
Probably.
Unironically, yes, because there have been studies done, like the last big, and social media always has these momentary flare-ups of supposed sort of racial comments that come in. So, like, the one that comes to mind most immediately was the Euro 2020, the football tournament, the European Championship.
Before,
yeah, and there was a huge furore in this country because of the amount of racial abuse received by the players who missed the penalties. And then after it turns out like something like 75% of the comments came from either Eastern Europe or South America, but it's supposed to reflect badly on English society that we're all being racist. Well, where are these tweets coming from? But this doesn't even apply to this particular example though, because she shares a few comments she's received on Instagram, and bear in mind that the whole backstory is supposed to be she's suffering incredible racist abuse. Well, okay, if you're going to share any comments at all, surely you would share ones that prove actual racial abuse as opposed to just abuse. Any abuse is bad, obviously, but if you have any kind of online presence, you will receive abuse. I was told not to breed the other day because of a Star Wars video by a Disney Star Wars fan in the name of tolerance, but she claims racism. Disney Star Wars is claiming racism. Okay, so prove it. Prove that you are receiving huge amounts of racial abuse.
They don't
Show
have
us where
to
it's
prove
coming
it,
from.
though, Lord. As just by watching that, you've seen clips from that. What is a woman? They don't answer the question when he gives. He asks them a question, he ignores it. He basically, or he says, "What do you think?" He tries to throw it back, and this is the prime example of this Star Wars thing. She's saying that she's suffering racism. If you ask her the question, she's not going to answer it because they know what they're doing. Listen, right, this fight, right, is worse than you think. Seriously, this is basically fighting for a way of life. If these people have power now, and if we don't make a stand now, they're only going to get more power. I'm not even joking here. If they get more power, we're all screwed. All of us as men, we're screwed. Seriously, as a family unit, as certain religions, they're all screwed. So we have to make a stand. If you don't make a stand, you have only got yourself to blame. That's the thing. And you may think I'm joking about it being serious. It is serious. It really is serious.
I don't
think
think
people
you're
get away with it, then we're all just going to suffer.
I'll just say good night, MC. We are going to suffer. We are.
It's just
we already are, really, because
not yet.
We're fighting against this for the the young people who are kind of thinking they know everything and wanting all this. We're fighting so they don't get it, but they think we're the enemy. And in 20 years' time, they will realize, they will probably think, fuck, what have I done? What have we done?
But you know what really, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I love my nieces, right? And that I've grown up with them, and I see one of my nieces being affected by this. She suddenly thinks now she's gay. She likes women. And it's like, you're only 13. You don't know nothing about life.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But because of all this crap that's in the school, that's what I'm saying. Now it's affecting me. Now it's affecting me. That's why I'm passionate about it. Before I was like, just like everybody else, they're putting this stuff into the film. Maybe I'll watch it, whatever. Now I'm making a stand. You know what? It's come right at my doorstep. It really has. Now this thing has to be stopped.
I will say in the obviously these graphics, the left and the middle one is the Star Wars Disney side, and God bless Data Racer for all the sterling work he does,
for sure.
Because you've got the hypocrisy, the two-facedness of the Gina Carano on the other side.
It's just, like Ewan McGregor said all that stuff on that video is because it's money that's motivating him saying that stuff. It really is.
Sold out. It's fucking sold out.
Of course he's sold out. I used to have respect for him, but I have no respect for him whatsoever now. And I understand why he's doing it. If he doesn't say it, he's not going to get any work. Living in fear is not a good way to live.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So anyway, whatever, I'll stop there.
But that's what it's encouraging everybody to do, because, the whole point of this in the first place was essentially to make potentially critical fans fear for about voicing their opinion on the series, because they've automatically been branded racist before they've even said a word, and it does have effect. We get comments on our videos now when we stick up criticisms of anything, which even that has nothing to do with Space Moses, and you will get people saying, oh, of course, you only criticize it because it's got a black woman and therefore you're a racist. That's one thing. But then, they could theoretically go and appeal to YouTube or appeal to Twitter on the grounds of breaches of terms of service. And the entire thing is effectively swayed against you if they do make those attempts. It's an attempt at preemptively silencing critical audiences, but that's only, as Ian says, that is just the beginning. In the broader cultural sense, it has much more direct impacts on people's lives as well, because it effectively emplaces this form of identity politics where you assume an identity on yourself as a child, and you have then to comply with all the diktats of that identity, because there's an entire police unit in the internet out to enforce these social norms and standards, which is why you have Elon Musk criticizing. Well, there was a graph showing that the growth in the number of people identifying as LGBTQIA+ in California over the last 10 years, and it jumped something like 80%. And he said this is basically much more to do with fashion than it is to do with actual sexuality. And he's right about that. But the danger is, of course, that we have these entire structures in place online which make it much more than a mere fashion, because it actually does matter to people's lives now. If they say that they are, if as a child, even a gender other than the one that they are, or if they say that they are of a particular political persuasion, then they will automatically be policed and they have to toe the line, or else they will be thrown out of society, and it's not a good thing.
I have a friend, right? Seriously, I have a friend. Sorry.
If I may, Ian, sorry. Melvin Deeply, they've done that to my niece too. She's come home from school telling us she's bi. She's 9 years old.
She's 9.
Can't even spell bi. That's how good her. It's disgusting.
Let me tell you the little story, right? I have a friend, okay, right, and she has a kid that's in it's kindergarten, as the Americans would call it. And one day she was in there, and there was a book in where her kid was, and it was Santa Claus and his boyfriend. Black boyfriend, right?
I know what book you're talking about.
So she went up to the teacher and she said, I do not want my kid reading this. My kid told me about this. I do not want this to touch my kid. And then the teacher called her racist, and she said, let me explain. It's not about the color of Santa. It's about the sexuality that you're pushing on my 5-year-old. My 5-year-old. He's only 5, right? And that happened last year, and she pulled him out of that school. So it's on my doorstep. That's why I'm so passionate about this. I will not watch these shows. If I encourage these shows, seriously, it's going to get worse, mate. Seriously. I don't know if you heard of that book, Santa and his boyfriend.
Yeah, it was written by Daniel Kibblesmith.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, did he do Snowflake and Safe Space?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Which a small piece of me wishes that would have been released so I could just shit all over it. But,
it would have been the first comic book I read just for the pleasure.
But I told myself I was like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to try to find it somewhere to download it, because I'm not paying for that nonsense. But I was like, I can't wait to shit all over this. And then they were like, it's not coming out. And I was like, it's probably for the better.
There were some tweets I saw today of I didn't know whether I should have put this on the show. I kind of wished I had now. Going back to what you've just been said, what you've been saying. It was a tweet from I don't know if I should take this with a pinch of salt, or I would like to think it's true. Somebody a boy who transitioned when they were in the teens because they thought they were in the wrong body. Is like having transitioning regret.
Yeah, I don't.
And he kept going on about that. He was jealous at seeing girls who had real breasts because he had his removed. And he was saying that it was heartbreaking. He was saying that I could have implants, but they're not real. I just don't know I don't know why I did what I did, because I just feel like it was the biggest mistake I've ever done in my life, and it was just sad.
There's
loads of them as well. There's loads of them.
Detransitioners are effectively an entire sub-community now, because this happens quite a lot. Effectively, you have. It's the first time, I think this might even be mentioned in the documentary, Matt Walsh's documentary. You have the first time a minority group which has effectively a substantial dollar value attached to it. In other words, there's not really, for all woke capital tries to put pride flags on everything, they're not making the same amount of money out of doing that as, for example, gender identity clinics, which only exist because they can take money from parents to transition children. That's the only reason they can exist, because they have that money attached. So there's a significant financial incentive.
Yeah,
for them
that was
to,
mentioned on some
to
things I saw,
affirm
yes.
and to reaffirm whatever children happen to say. I mean, puberty is a shit time of life for basically everyone. The point of puberty is that that's when everything about you is completely out of whack. You have some very strange ideas about things when you go through puberty. It's not a good time to be making life decisions at all.
Right.
Never mind permanent ones, which are very hard to reverse. The problem is that you've effectively got an entire community in existence now, an entire industry that exists to basically take children entering puberty and in puberty and say, let's make some fundamental life-altering and irreversible changes to your body. Give us $40,000 for this, please. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Afterwards, once the hormones have settled down, they move out of puberty. They realize that they've been sold effectively a false prospectus. And the decision was not one they should have made in the first place, which creates an enormous problem. You can overstate the extent of that problem. Detransitioners, I don't think, make up even half of total transgender people. The problem is, though, that genuine transgender people, or people who go into it with full knowledge of it much later in life, for example, are being lumped in with the rest of the community, including all the children who are being transitioned before they are able to make those decisions. The ultimate, when the backlash to this happens, which it inevitably will encompass basically everyone, whether they deserve to be brought up in this or not. The people who are really to blame for all of this, of course, will get away with it scot-free and much richer than they are at the moment. But that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
I was told that I was old-fashioned when I mentioned it when I was shooting something, and I was talking to the crew, and one of the crew members said, "Oh, Ian, you're just old-fashioned." I'm like, "You don't know, mate. You just shut up and sit down. You really don't know. You really don't know what's going on."
Melvin Deeply, Chappelle Gervais will save us. That's our final defense, because they can tell the truth and pretend they're joking.
Yeah, everybody can tell the truth.
That's sort of the encouraging way it's going now, because up until even 5 years ago, they probably wouldn't have been allowed to host those programs, and then now they've got enough star attraction to them that they can bring audiences that studios are ultimately beholden to their bottom line and not to any political ideological agenda. You can't turn down a Ricky Gervais special. You can't turn down Dave Chappelle, and humor explodes an enormous number of the myths that these things rely on, which is why these people hate humor so much.
Well, he actually said in his show, didn't he, Lord Cord? He said, "I don't care. Netflix has already paid for this, so I'm carrying on." He said at one point.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And you can take encouragement from that, because that means that Netflix ultimately, what it wants first and foremost is to survive as an entity. And if that means junking the politics it's been espousing for the last decade, then it will junk the politics and follow the money, and the money will end up bringing an end to this, just as it's led to its rise in the first place.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, well,
it's not good, is it? Okay. No. We'll just do a couple of bits of we'll leave the heavy subjects behind, because I think, as I said, with the detransitioners, what I read today online, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
It is heartbreaking, but okay. So Disney, Marvel are looking to get Raimi in again.
I think Raimi said that, well, you can just read between the lines in his interviews. Raimi was not happy with his version of Doctor Strange 2. Looks like they went in and they butchered it. That's what it sounds like to me.
But also, they haven't said they want to get him back. What they've said is, we want another director like Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And I read, if you delve into the story, is it Bob? No, not Bob Iger. Who heads the
Bob Chapek?
Bob Chapek is one of the Bobs. I knew that. He didn't want to have to oversee every little detail of whatever film comes out, and he didn't have to do that, he says, with Sam Raimi. So he says he wants another director like Sam Raimi, which is why this tweet comes about. One, let's get him back. But given that Raimi apparently wasn't very happy with what happened to him, and the fact that the studio is saying we want someone like him, that both adds together to suggest that they don't want him back, and he doesn't want to go back either.
And he said it's very difficult to direct a film when you don't know the ending. Well, what does that say? Do you know what I mean? What does that say?
It's an excellent point.
Yeah.
So obviously that tweet was from Bruce Campbell. He's been busy this week, and then Amber Heard, all her scenes have been deleted, and there's a petition for Bruce Campbell.
It says 3 million there. That has actually, I think I read somewhere that has topped 60 million.
How many?
It's certainly. I'm sure I read somewhere that it's topped 60 million signatories. I might have missed. Maybe that was someone taking the piss. I'm sure it'll be above 3 million now, though.
But you know what, right? Lost Chord, right? It's fascinating, don't you think, that the people that I hate to use this because I don't believe in left or right. I just believe in mad people. The mad people, right? It's really funny when they're faced with logic. They seem to have a block with logic. When you actually throw logic in their face, they either ignore it or try to not answer it. And with the case of Amber Heard, and it was obvious she was lying. It was obvious she was lying for her teeth. It was obvious that she was lying. Yet afterwards, she comes out and says this sets back the Me Too movement. And then you got a lot of stupid news bulletins saying the same thing. And what is there not to understand about what happened there? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
I always looked him. Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, Matthew, you go.
Well,
first.
I always look to my wife because my wife doesn't pay attention to this stuff. But I'll tell you right now, she was obsessed with this trial. Like she listened to it live every day and everything. And she every time I talk to her, she's like, "Yeah, she's lying. I can tell she's lying." And I was like, "Yeah, she's lying." And she's like, "Let me show you this part." She saved the timestamps. She's like, "Watch this for like 2 minutes," and she's like, "You can tell she's lying and everything." It was pretty fun watching her do that because she's usually not into this kind of thing, like paying attention to Hollywood nonsense. But she was obsessed with this trial.
I don't know why she wanted to destroy Depp. She should have just
lots and lots of money.
Well, she should have just got the settlement, gone the separate ways, and just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but think about it though. It's kind of evil what she was trying to do, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively.
You know, I don't use that word lightly. And this is the thing: if she's that evil that she would lie to get this man destroyed, what does that say about her? In her heart and in her mind?
Nothing.
What hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn.
And now she gets to play the victim card. Before this trial, she was like, "Oh, I'm a victim. Hire me."
In Aquaman 2, she doesn't.
Right.
But I mean, you know, Johnny's no saint, but I'm sorry, he deserved to win.
Nobody is.
But, exactly. He deserved to win because I just hope he gets his career back and people see him in a different light now. And you know, seriously.
Andy says, "Very evil. Why is she free?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't tend to imprison people for defamation, but she's significantly less rich. There is a website that tracks celebrities' net worth, and immediately, as soon as the verdict came in, someone updated the website, but minus 8 million net worth, which is very funny.
Here you go, Melvin says, "Sorry, Lord. There's no consequences to lying these days. Politicians get caught. Yeah, politicians all the fucking time. Yeah, they just brass their way through it. They're never accountable.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our Prime Minister. Look at our Prime Minister lying through his teeth.
It was not a work event. I mean, it was a work event.
Yeah.
But that's sort of why I say, like, yeah, it's evil. But the evil on it, I think that the principal cause of all of this, it wasn't even, I don't think, her being particularly vindictive. A lot of that comes out in the trial and in her interactions with Johnny Depp during the course of the relationship breaking down. But the reason she committed the defamation in the first place, I don't think was vindictive in the sense of I really fucking hate Johnny Depp. What that was in exactly the same way as politicians are compelled to lie. Actors are basically politicians with a bit more talent. What she wanted was to have the reputation. There's a substantial reputational and dollar value attached to being attached to a charity like the ACLU or the ADL or any other big charitable cause, and then portraying yourself as a victim of this, that, or the other massive crime, and then you can claim that you're speaking for an entire section of society. Automatically, that means you get for free puff pieces written up in the New York Times and the Huffington Post. You get then called in for jobs that you would not get called in before because your reputation has been enhanced by all of this. I genuinely think this was principally a shallow, almost psychopathically inhumane career move by her, and not a purely vindictive campaign against Johnny Depp. We know, of course, that that's what she was during the course of the relationship. But I don't think that was the reason she was doing this to begin with.
Control, doesn't it? Lord, do you want to read Romeo's comment, please?
Am I going to speak up on parliamentary privilege on that comment about Boris? I'm not quite sure I follow. You might have to explain further. Which comment?
All of them.
Also, I don't have parliamentary privilege, despite sounding like I do. So I might.
You have privilege on this channel, so technically, kind of. Okay. So more Amber Turd stuff.
I love that billboard. I haven't seen that before. That's great.
That was in Vegas.
That's great.
That's the strip club. Can you believe it?
I'd go watch.
I thought she was, when I saw her first on screen, I thought she was gorgeous. I saw her in this film. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And who'd have thought that, someone with such a gorgeous body and a face would be so horrible inside?
Yeah, and if she wouldn't have done all of this, sure, both their careers would have been just fine.
Exactly.
She would have done the Aquaman movie. She could have done some more stuff. This thing ruined her whole life.
Jason Momoa hated her.
Yeah,
Momoa, sorry.
And I'm just like, yeah, but it was a bad idea, and she's dumb. She's dumb.
I know. My dad always used to say to me, "It's not important to be right until it is important to be right." That's what he used to say to me.
Right on.
So yeah.
The graphic on the left, some woman set up a GoFundMe.
I saw that.
And it got shut down.
Yeah, I love that. That's so funny.
Because she could have just pocketed the money.
For sure. But
it's not as though she has any history of doing that.
Yeah, she could have done a BLM on that.
Well, it's fine. But based on her own argument, I hereby pledge Amber Heard $10 million. There you go, Amber. You now have that money. You can go and do with it what you want.
And comment of the night. Sorry, mate. Jason Samosa. Sorry, mate. It's the coof brain. So she's definitely, if her next job in Vegas awaits.
I reckon she's going to find a job because all these crazy people are in charge of Hollywood, so they'll definitely, they'll take her on.
She'll be on the next Star Wars film.
Yeah,
as
probably
Gina Carano character.
Yeah.
It'll be next week's story on this stream. Will be Disney preps Amber Heard for response to sexist fans.
Right. Okay. Jubilee week over here. Andrew Neil says UK is not divided nation, the woke think. Are we divided, you think, guys?
Well, not around where I live.
I don't like the police taking the knee. I detest that.
So there are some interesting sort of stats that you can delve into in terms of, say, support for royal family. And it is demonstrably lower amongst people who've, understandably, I guess, but people. I think it was something like 37% support for the royal family amongst recent immigrants in this country, which doesn't, of course, say that they don't like it. It just says that only 37% think it's a jolly good thing. But actually, if you look into it even more, support for the royal family in Scotland is only 52%, and support for it in Wales is not much higher than that. So you could, he's right. George Floyd doesn't really have anything to do with this, but it's not also so simple as to say the Jubilee proves we're not divided in that way. If you're just using support for the royal family as a barometer for sort of social cohesion.
I think everybody's been enjoying themselves with the street parties.
Yeah, they have. I was in one yesterday with my nieces, and it was a lot of fun. And
maybe we should do them more often. And
yeah,
not just leave it.
Look, no matter what you think of the Queen, it's a good excuse to
have an ease up.
Exactly. So
I'm all for more bank holidays just because I don't have to work. So,
but I mean, the communities, when people get together, I like that. And the Queen is the Queen, right? And she's done a lot of bad things, or the family's done a lot of bad things. But I like the idea of community, and people get together and they smile and they drink together, and people that you've never met, you shake their hands and all that stuff. It's great. It's absolutely great. Should be more of it.
I'm not royalist, but happy Jubilee. Happy. What's the? Is it?
It was her birthday, wasn't it? A couple of days ago.
Is it 70?
It is
70
years on the throne, which is impressive.
Is that what the Jubilee is for? To celebrate her birthday?
Birthday and the Jubilee, I think.
Yes,
she's been in charge
they celebrate the birthday separately. The Jubilees mark set milestones for years on the
Yes.
throne. So there's the Platinum Jubilee,
gotcha.
the based on precious metals, because hell, why
Did
not?
anyone see the concert yesterday?
No.
No.
It was on TV. You know what? It was really mediocre. It
Oh,
really
surprised.
was. I mean, Diana Ross came at the end, which I thought was okay. She was good. But everything else was just mediocre. You'd think they'd get some big star in to sing for the Queen, but all of them were like, they got this guy to sing with Queen, the band Queen, and he was terrible. He was awful. And
what is
then,
his name?
I can't remember. He was in Glee or something like that. My sister told me.
He
Glee?
was on one of our singing shows, like American Idol. I'm trying to hold on. I'll look it up.
He was awful. He was absolutely awful.
It's like people say the
Adam
royal
Lambert.
family and the Queen isn't worth the money
Adam
that
Lambert,
she gets.
yeah.
But actually, if you had to put up with the amount of garbage that she just sits through, the Royal Variety Show and all the random acts they
Paddington
get
bit was
up.
good.
Yeah,
It was
Paddington
good.
bit was okay.
Yeah,
you
I
could tell
thought-
they did a bit of a deep fake on her face towards the ending. But,
I thought it
she
was
there.
cute.
Yeah.
I showed it to my kids. They liked it. Did you guys see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle got booed as they left that church?
Oh,
I thought that was
really?
pretty funny. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, well, they deserve it, didn't they?
Speaking of boos,
sure.
somebody was booing the Prime Minister and they were arrested and issued with fixed penalty notices. Did you see that?
I wasn't sure if the booers were arrested. I know there were people who were arrested for trying to disrupt the.
Yeah, and then I saw a tweet on Twitter today from a QC saying anybody who's got one of those fixed penalty notices, get in contact.
Oh yeah, fixed
I'll
penalty
represent
notices
you
are
for
almost
free.
100% bollocks. Most of them get overturned.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the Jubilee. Disappeared a couple of hours before we came on.
What did she do?
They were having a dinner in a like a fundraiser somewhere in London. I think the restaurant's called something beginning with P, like Peepers or I don't know, Piers or I don't know. But following day, the owners turned up brick through the front window.
Why?
He has a few restaurants, and I think they've all been trashed because J.K. Rowling was associated with them, and therefore, in the name of tolerance, decency, and compassion, trans rights activists decided, right, we're going to go and brick your windows.
So you see that's just bad, right? Why would they do that?
That's so that's ridiculous.
If they're so sure of what they believe in, why do they need to resort to violence? It makes no sense, right?
Because surely they're of a generation where there's been no consequence to any actions they've ever done. That's ultimately what it boils down to. These people have been online for most of their lives, calling people like, people a cunt, this, that, and the other, and all really nasty derogatory terms and threatening death. But there's been no consequences. If I went up to you, Ian, back in the day and started shouting and physically threatening you and stuff like that, I'd be arrested and carted away and charged.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whereas all these people, they have done all that online, no consequences. So all bets are off. They can do fucking anything they want. And if they think they're right, that's a very, very bad combination. So they think they have got more than any right than anybody just put a fucking brick through anybody's window.
See, sometimes people don't agree, even when the facts are in front of them, they don't agree because they don't want to get in trouble. Like I know loads of my friends who are into, these rogue shows that are on, and I point out the facts that this, and this, and they go, well, and then they ignore it. As I said, it only affects you when it actually lands on your doorstep, and then you'll have a different opinion on it. Yeah, you're until then, let them carry on.
So yeah, it's going to be Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais, and JK.
Yeah. Well, we need a bigger star.
Yeah,
we need Tom Cruise to speak out.
So, Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick's doing really well. And then The Guardian, bless them, came up with this headline. no, Top Gun Maverick's success isn't down to being pro-America and anti-woke.
I mean, I guess so. I don't think that's true, but whatever. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Isn't that your guys' paper, The Guardian?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Why
it just
did
not a good film?
I hereby disown The Guardian. It's not my
Yeah.
paper.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I was supposed to go this weekend, but
I have not seen it
children.
yet.
But I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I'm quite excited about it. But yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Listen, nobody knows how much of us Americans love America. I mean, well, most of us. We're all like, yeah, we're number one. So that's ridiculous.
There's a lot of people over here who love America, myself included.
Yeah, we'll tell you all day, every day, we're the best country in the world. So,
But unfortunately, you're not, though.
Yeah, I know you like to think that, but we're the best. We're the best.
But hold on. But how could you be the best when Godzilla's attacked New York? You know, where else you got UFOs? Do you know what I mean? All this stuff, and yet you still guys can't stop them from coming.
It's a compliment. The fact that every alien in the galaxy apparently wants to attack America first means that they realize.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
Critical Drinker, I think, was triggered by
what?
The Guardian saying Top Gun's Maverick success isn't down to it being pro-America, anti-woke.
Yeah, but they're just saying that, aren't they? I mean, for God's sakes, you know, it's a really good film. End of story. What else can you say about it? Yeah, what else can you say about it?
Guys, if you've not seen it yet, go watch it. It's really good. I'm going to go see it again this week.
I'm hoping to go see it sometime this week.
I don't think I'm going to see it again. I liked it, but I personally I don't think it's worth seeing again. It's okay. It's enjoyable. And I recommend you go and see it in IMAX because it was fantastic in IMAX. But for me, I didn't like the first one. This one was better than the first one. It was fine.
Like
it was fine.
One? I love the first
one. I didn't
one.
like the first one at all.
Oh, right on.
Like this one though. It was just good.
Okay, so let's see what's last then. So Top Gun, everybody. Morbius.
Is it a sequel?
So everybody memed about Morbius for about basically the last month. And some idiot in the studio thought, just as they did with the Obi-Wan series, oh, this means it's popular. So they re-released it at the cinema. It bombed the first time. Everyone memed it. They re-released it, and no one went to see it. So it's bombed twice.
Well, as I said, these people, they just don't know what they're doing. The people they've got in charge now, all they're doing is focusing on their religion thing. And they're not thinking about entertainment anymore. And Hollywood has always been slow in catching on. Always. So I'm not surprised. Really not surprised.
Melvin Deeply, apparently Scandinavian countries are the best places to live. Places like Denmark, Sweden, Finland. Also got the fittest women as well.
That's very problematic what you said there, Ian.
Going back quickly to the booing of the Prime Minister, I left a little tweet clip at the bottom. Liam Walker QC basically saying if anybody was got a fixed penalty notice booing the Prime Minister, which he deserves because he's a cunt.
You can't. So they got. I don't know what a fixed penalty is. So they got in trouble for booing him.
It's just an on-the-spot fine where they give you like £60.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
For unrowdy behaviour.
Really? That's ridiculous.
They're not. Most of them go. So they tried to use them to enforce all of the coronavirus lockdowns as well. Most people who were caught breaching coronavirus regulations were hit with fixed penalty notices, but they're really dubious legally, and every single person who appealed their fixed penalty notice for the lockdown transgressions won their appeal, and no one actually in the end was fined for it. So it's a really quick, simple way of the police slapping you with a punishment, and hope that all they do is they hope you just won't bother to challenge it, because if you challenge it, it will be overturned. But they're very legally dubious. But
yeah, because that's like $75 in American dollars. That's like so much money.
And it's not as if the guy doesn't deserve it, but there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of thinking that is it.
Is that it? Boom.
Please consider donating to the channel. Links in the description, pin message, blah, blah, blah. Subscribe, all the usual bollocks. I would just say a big thank you to the chat. Guys, you're wonderful. Always great to see the same faces to kind of round the week off. It's not Monday yet. We're just getting out of Dodge before midnight. So cheers, guys. I will thank the guests. Matt Cat, great to have you back, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time.
Should we go? Ian, thank you, my friend.
No worries, no worries. I'm always around.
We know. And last but by no means least, it's the Lord. Praise be the Lord.
Praise be the Lord, who's got millions and thousands of people watching him. So
yeah, he does.
We gotta bend the knee on that one.
The Lord, everybody. Cheers, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you guys as ever. It's always great fun. Timed it just perfectly because my Lemsip is firmly wearing off now, so I'm gonna have to run. But no, it's been great fun.
We are going to be back Wednesday night to do the next episode of Obi-Wan.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm not going to be there, so there you go.
I'll be listening. It'll be a good time.
Okay. I think that is it, guys. Everybody involved on this stream at the moment, you're wonderful. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.
Bye.